Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tony'sPicks.com. We're ready here with our segment with Pravy Sambamurti. Pravy has a four-pack for you here from the Sweet 16 action here for Thursday. Let's go ahead and bring in Pravy in right now. Ready to roll here. Pravy, how's it going?
Hey, Tony. How are you doing?
Doing great. We're looking forward to this Sweet 16 round. We got a lot of great matchups here. What's your thoughts so far on this tournament?
Well, are you surprised yet? A lot of big surprises. Busted my bracket up totally badly already, but I thought Princeton was kind of an interesting story. Obviously, so the Cinderella is always a great story around this time of the year. I mean, a lot of these kids, they don't end up playing at the next level. So this is like, their one real great moment, and it's great to see them enjoying it. So
Yeah.
that's a cool part of it.
Of course, for like Dixie now knocking off that Purdue, who had some flaws in their system. Obviously the shooting, it's tough to, you shoot in the mid 40s. It's really, that's not really the profile for a championship team is in the NCAAB tournament. But those teams go down. We just got to see. I think we just got to see the shooting improve all around in college hoops.
Yeah, I mean, it's again. I mean, the truth is, in a 40-minute affair, anything can really happen. If one team really gets hot from three, or if one team's cold, that can. The difference between these teams isn't that big. As you were saying before, I mean, the scoring has definitely been down, which tends to probably favor, taking points in a lot of these games. But just like a side note, unders were 67% in the first two rounds this year, which is the highest in 30 years.
Wow.
So scoring's been down pretty sharply across the board. So if I were leaning any way in any of the Sweet 16 games, if I was on the fence on something, I'd probably take the under rather than the over.
There you go. Promise I'm ready to roll here. Let's get started here with our four-pack here. Sweet 16 action here for Thursday. We'll get started here with play one here. We're looking TBS 6:30 Eastern time. Kansas State here facing Michigan State. Michigan State going to be favored 2. Total sits here at 137.5.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas State is a team that I've loved all year. I think they've been undervalued by the public. Just another side note, the public in the first two rounds was basically 27-1. So, I mean, the public has just been terrible, already in this tournament. I think, the idea to fade the public is probably the right way, and I think Kansas State is one of those bets. If you look at Kansas State's record this year, very solid, 23-11 against the spread this season. Which is the best of all the teams that's remaining right now. Michigan State, on the other hand, was kind of a pedestrian, 16-14 against the spread. A lot of this game, I think, is going to come down to, whether Michigan State is going to be able to contain Kansas State's scoring. Kansas State tends to score about 75 points per game, while Michigan State tends to give up 67 points per game. But that being said, if Kansas State scores over 67% of points in a game, they are 15-4 against the spread. So the question really for the investor, the sports investor, is: do you feel Kansas State is going to score over 67 points? And I believe they are. So I would take them and the points in this one.
All right, Pravy here on Kansas State plus the 2 here against Michigan State. Of course, Michigan State with Izzo, you're hearing a lot of that to Izzo, but they really haven't had a whole lot of NCAA tournament success in recent seasons. We're thinking about Izzo several years ago with those great Michigan State teams. As you said, Big Ten kind of mediocre here, teams beating up on each other. But it's really hard to, when you look at Kansas State and you look at some of these shooting percentages. I know it was Montana State, but that was pretty good, in the NCAA tournament. And of course, Kentucky shooting 48%. You got to respect that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, they've been hot, and at this time of the year, that's really kind of what it comes down to. It's the teams that are kind of rolling and feeling comfortable shooting the ball, and it's just not something that you can teach or even prepare for. Some guys just feel it at the right time, and they seem to be feeling it right now. So, and I agree. I think Tom Izzo gets a bit of a premium, for his experience and the fact that he's been there many, many times. But you're right. They really haven't done a whole lot, in the last decade, really. So.
That's right, indeed. All right, Pravy here on Kansas State plus 2 against Michigan State. This one have a start time Thursday, 6:30 Eastern time. All right, let's continue on here with Pravy here in our segments. Of course, we're getting a 4-pack here from this Sweet 16 round here for Thursday. Let's continue on here with our show. Pravy up game number 2 from our 4. We go to CBS 7:15 Eastern time. UConn here facing this Arkansas team here. Arkansas maybe showing signs of that, when the season started. This was everybody's pick, but then they got hit with injuries. UConn's been solid in the non-conference have their issues in conference, but that'll happen. But UConn here laying 3.5 total sits 140.
I think this to me comes down to, I go back to my rankings of the power of the conferences this year, and I actually had the Big East ranked above the SEC, believe it or not, slightly this year. So, UConn is a big reason for that. It's a top-heavy conference, definitely, but the Big East has shown their wares in the first two rounds here because they are 7-2 so far. In the first two rounds of this tournament, there's 6-3 ATS against the spread, and UConn is 20-9 against the spread this year. UConn is also 17-3 when they're favored by 190 or more on the money line. So they're a team that plays well when when they're favored and when they're supposed to win. I can see them. I can't see them probably blowing Arkansas out. I can see them winning. Maybe being up a couple of bucket or so late, and then shooting a couple of free throws to cover the spread. But another interesting fact is Arkansas this year is only 15-18 against the spread. They're also 1-3 against the spread when they're plus 160 or higher on the underdog money line. So I think the numbers seem to point towards UConn covering this one.
All right, we got Pravy again. UConn lay at 3.5 here against Arkansas. Arkansas, pretty much a defensive style team, but again, until you start shooting, you're not going to go all the way. That's what it comes down with Arkansas. Yeah, they got the coaches. Musselman's a great coach, and I know all that. But at some point, you got to start hitting. You got to hit near over 47%. I got to see some 48s. I got to see some 50s up there. But these 40s, these 30s percent shooting. Once you get to these rounds, man, you better make baskets.
I agree. I think in the SEC tended to be a pretty low-scoring league overall this year, and I think in the SEC, I think that could have flown. But I think now, when you get into the tournament time, you're going to be dealing with some teams that can put up numbers. So you're going to have to be able to match them, and I think UConn is one of those teams. And I think that they're going to put up enough numbers to beat Arkansas and cover today.
Yeah, against Iona, nearly 49%. Against St. Mary's, 54%. You see the trend there with K-State shooting. UConn shooting. There you go. The shooting teams are advancing. We got them here too. UConn laying 3.5 here against Arkansas. This one to have a start time here of 7:15 Eastern time on CBS. CBS has a monster doubleheader on Thursday. Let's continue on here on the show here, joined by Pravy Sambamurti. Check him out over at TonySpace.com. Get his best plays tonight. Click the link there in the description. Get signed up. 7-day pass. Get all of Pravy's premium plays for 7 days. The rest of the we'll get to the tournament through Sunday, as well as the NIT that's going off, as well as don't forget the NBA as well as NHL, part of that 7-day pass. Use the promo code TonyT at checkout, and you'll be able to save 20% off. Let's continue on here on the show here, joined by Pravy Sambamurti. All right, Pravy, it's now time for pick 3 from our 4-pack. At TBS, we go to the night sessions here. FAU here. Listen, they deserve to be here. They've been playing really well the entire season here, facing a tough out here. Tennessee 5.5 total, 130.5.
Yeah, I mean, this is I think an example of a team that is getting a lot of love from the public, and I think FAU is a very visible public underdog in this game, and another reason why I'm going to fade them on this one. I think Tennessee has one of the best defenses in the country. They played a much tougher schedule than FAU has, even touched this year. Tennessee's played, grind in the SEC all year round, and Tennessee is allowed, under 60 points, in the first 2 tournament games. And even though FAU does shoot the ball pretty well from 3, I don't see them being able to get off enough shots with the type of pressure that they're going to be under, especially with the size that Tennessee presents on the defensive side of the ball too. So I think the Vol is going to win this one pretty comfortably. I would say by 10 or maybe more.
All right, we got Pravy here. Tennessee lay the 5.5 here against FAU, and of course FAU got a little break there after beating Memphis, and Memphis kind of threw that one away. And it's not surprising because this has always been a sloppy team. They've been high on turnovers. It's just you got the NBA style coach, but these aren't NBA players. They need a lot more coaching and a lot more teaching. I think in this league with some of these NBA players coaching these teams, they got to show a little bit better on the court. A little sloppy there, but AFU got through it. But then again, against Fairleigh Dickinson, didn't cover that game. They were a double-digit favorite, covered half the spread. And again, you shoot just 41% against Fairleigh Dickinson.
But by the way, Tony, what's up with Memphis? I mean, they seem to have historic collapses in the NCAA tournament constantly, right? Like the one time in the finals against Kansas.
Oh, yeah.
They're a real disappointment for me this year. I thought that they were going to do much better, but they collapsed against FAU as well. But again, I think Tennessee is like when another interesting fact is Tennessee is 18-4 when they're favored by 250 or more on the money line this year. So. Obviously, they've been favored quite a bit. They've been one of the better teams in the country all year round. So again, I think they're just more battle tested to be able to win this game than FAU is.
All right, we got Pravy here on Tennessee. Are laying the 5.5 here against FAU. Of course, you guys have seen the great record from the NBA here from Pravy. Go ahead and get signed up for his long-term pass. The 3-day pass will get you is a good way to go as well. And use our promo code TonyT at checkout, and you'll be able to save 20% off there at checkout. So check them out there right on our site, Tony'sPicks.com. Probably Sambamurti join us here on this segment here. We're ready to continue on here. We got through 3 of them, ready for pick 4 here from our 4-pack, and we go here to the one everyone's waiting for. This is going to be the game tonight. They're going to make us wait. About 9:45 Eastern time. CBS has UCLA facing Gonzaga. Bruins laying 2, total 145.5.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching this game. I think the matchup between Drew Timme and Jaime Jaquez Jr. I think that's going to be a really cool thing to watch. Both of these guys, I think, have futures at the next level, obviously. So I think that it'll, I'm not saying it's bird or magic yet, but it's a good matchup in college. If you look at Gonzaga was the preseason number 2 team in the country, and they are the highest team remaining of the teams that were ranked in the preseason in the top 5. So that's something to remember here. So they're a team that was probably expecting to be here coming into the season, obviously. UCLA has been 17-16 against the spread this year, so somewhat pedestrian. Gonzaga was only 13-19 against the spread this year, but it can be, probably inferred on some level because they don't play in the strongest conference, but they do have a few tough road contests they have to go into every year within that conference. So you can see some of these games they didn't cover, and at the end of the day, I think Gonzaga has been 5-2 when they've been underdogs of plus 105 or more. So they're a team that generally, if there are underdogs, they tend to get fired up and seem to want to prove themselves. And again, I think in a toss-up, I think it is basically a toss-up game. But I'd like to take the bucket in a situation like that, and so I'll take the Bulldogs.
All right, we got probably taking that Gonzaga here. We're going to go ahead and take the 2 points here against UCLA. Of course, UCLA have shown offense and defense, put up some impressive numbers here in this NCAA tournament in their games here against they beat Northwestern and UNC Asheville, which was just a weak opponent there. But one thing I'll notice with Gonzaga, when you look at their season numbers, you'll notice that the defense not too good. But if you look down the stretch, they have really tightened up that defense.
They have, and again, I think Mark Few is he's just an excellent coach. I think he knows how to coach for the regular season. I think he knows how to coach for tournament time, and I think they are as well a prepared team as there is in college basketball right now. And they're actually one of the teams in my brackets that have been continuing on. I actually expect them to win this whole thing. So I think their defense is good enough. I think they are going to have to score better, continue to shoot well, going forward here, especially against the UCLA team. I think it's going to require it may require 80 points to win this game, for Gonzaga. So I think this is one of those games that is probably not going to go under. I'm pretty sure that both of these teams are going to put some points on the board. So, I think defense. So maybe in a high-scoring game like that, maybe a defensive stop down the stretch may come into play. But I think this is going to be an offensive dominated game. I think on both sides.
All right, got Pravy our Gonzaga +2 here against UCLA. This one will have a start time here of 9:45 Eastern time over on CBS. All right, Pravy, let's take a look over at Tony'sPicks.com for this action here coming up here for Thursday. Of course, Pravy has put some good numbers up here in NBA. 544 units. Pravy was one of the units leader for us here at Tony'sPicks.com for 2022. Looking forward for a great 2023 here from Pravy Sambamurti. All right, Pravy, what are your plans over at Tony Picks? What do you have going on?
Well, we got a week remaining before baseball season starts, so the Major Leagues has 15 games on slate for next Thursday. So I've got my power rankings down for baseball. I've been working on that for the last week. So my full year package is out there right now. A very fair price for the full season, 162 games for each of the teams, and yeah, a lot of the different things kind of changed a little bit. I was a little surprised a little bit by when I did my power rankings this year on some of the teams that slipped down and a few of the teams that kind of risen up a little bit. So I think it's going to be a very exciting year coming up. Obviously, NBA and NHL making the final push now to the playoffs. I think NBA is down to less than 20 games left. I think NHL is close to that. And so yeah, and my packages for the second half for NBA and NHL allows you full access to all my playoff picks as well. And March Madness is still going on, guys. So, Sweet 16 is coming up. There's 8 great games coming up the next couple of days. And then we got the Final Four on Saturday. NIT and CBI are finishing up as well. So my March Madness package is still out there. A lot of money is going to be traded over the next few days over those games. So please definitely take advantage of that. And we have the best cappers in the industry here. You can just check by looking at the leaderboard every day. It's hard to get on there. We're going to bring you some value on your bankroll.
That's right, guys. Yeah, we're with Pravy Sambamurti right now over at Tony'sPicks.com. Long-term passes. Baseball is getting ready for baseball. Starts on Thursday with that 15-game card, full season baseball pass, very affordably priced. And you could use the promo code TonyT at checkout, and that will save you 20% off that purchase or any of the purchases over at Tony'sPicks.com. We're just do the math here on the baseball here. It's $140 off, significant savings there. And you can access Pravy's page by clicking the link you see there in the description. Click the All Cappers tab, and you'll land right on Pravy's page. And go ahead and get signed up. You'll find his long-term passes up there. Of course, also, I must note here, and we're going to work to get this language onto the sites here as we're doing a lot of site adjustments here. As you know, we're really in the first year. It's been a lot of software development. Now it's getting more creative now here in year 2. But I wanted to mention the late steam. Pravy, I know you do a lot of late steam out there. One of the unique features that we have here at Tony's Picks that kind of separates us from our competition is the ability to allow our cappers to post picks late in the day. If you post plays between 10 minutes and 2 hours of game time, they're flagged as late steam. You'll see them in green, but those plays are emailed directly to members. So those are the ones that are emailed to you. The rest of them are in the member area, but any play that Pravy puts in late will be emailed directly to you, Pravy. I know you post a lot of the late steam plays in as well.
Absolutely. We've got a couple of games. NBA's got a big slate tonight, but there are a couple late games there. And the NHL's got a 10 o'clock game tonight, too, so I'll be looking into that as well.
That's right. And, of course, that for any of the sports out there, baseball as well, you see something late, there's a pitching change. What do you do? Well, we'll be able to react, right, with that late steam. That's something, a unique feature that we have, sets us apart from the competition. Nobody's doing that. They used to do it. Maybe you may remember back in the day with the old score phones or the old phone rooms, the late steam. those were like the big dollar picks. But you're going to get them right here at regular price. We're not going to fleece you guys like those guys used to do back in the day, probably.
No. We're the modern age. Yeah.
That's right. But again, late steam plays probably has a high volume of late steam that's included on the long-term passes. Again, a long-term pass, you get your members' plays, log in early in the morning like you do for the plays, and then as the day wears, they can post plays between 10 minutes and 2 hours for game time, and those are emailed directly. The late steam plays are part of the long-term passes, so go ahead and get signed up. All right, Pravy, as always, great having you on the show, having you aboard here at Tony'sPicks.com to year number 2. Keep up the great work, and we'll catch up with you again down the line.
Absolutely. Have a great time watching the games.
I got it. Pravy Sambamurti here. I'm Tony T. We'll talk to you guys next time.